Let's talk about interning, set dressing, and catering. Today we talk with Mykayla Chavarria, VanderMate and Kayla Ray, as we continue our series of short bonus episodes on location from the set of Empty Nets. But first, if you're finding this podcast helpful, take a moment to follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you think others would be interested in listening, please rate and review to make it easier for others to find. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or podchaser.com.
This is the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast, helping filmmakers who share a Christian worldview stay in touch, informed, and inspired. Quiet on set. Rolling. Today's host is Jeffrey Witt.
Hey, this is Geoff with the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast on the set of Empty Nets. We've got crew today, Kayla, Mykayla, and Michael, and they're all going to introduce themselves more fully in a moment when they talk. First of all, Kayla, tell us your background and how you ended up here on this set.
Yeah, so my name is Kayla Ray, and I've been interested in film for pretty much my whole life, but really felt the Lord call me to it as a career about 10 years ago, and found an opportunity to be a background extra on the set of I Still Believe, the Kingdom Story Company film. And then after that 1 8-hour day on set, I was completely hooked. Loved everything about film sets, so I decided to study it in college, and I just graduated in May of 2023 with my bachelor's in theater and film.
What school?
Shorter University in Rome, Georgia. And then since then, I've been working with an acting coach, and I was on their pilot set in December for Growing Up with Justin and Amber Sterner, and then now I'm here on Empty Nets.
Cool.
So excited.
What was your connection? How did you end up here?
Yeah, so I actually found this connection through the Christian Worldview Film Festival in Albany. I met a wonderful actress there this time in 2024, Sarah Lejeune, and she shared Nathan Blair's Instagram post, and he was directing this, and he was looking for interns, and I sent an email, and God opened the door, so Here I am.
And what has been your role since you've been here?
Yeah, so I've been a true intern. I've done a little bit of everything. I came in as an art department PA, working under Michael, which was great. And then I've done a little bit of extra PA, working just as a general set PA. And then the last couple days I've been an assistant caterer. And today I was pulled in to be background. So I've done a little bit of all of it.
Awesome. You and Mykayla have really stepped up. Our hospitality ended up with an illness, and Mykayla and Kayla, primarily, perhaps with some other help, really have done a great job of preparing our meals. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Mykayla, I'd like to hear your story too. What led you to this point in your life where you are here on this set today?
Well, other than the practicality of 22 years leading up to this moment, I guess I grew up having way too many creative hobbies for my own good, and I figured, I don't want to choose just one of them, so, film kind of utilizes all of them, so I was really interested in that, so I graduated high school in 2020, and after that, college was kind of off the table because I didn't want to leave my family with all the drama that was going on. I don't need to get into that. But,
COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
But through lots of prayer and everything, because, I was bored. I didn't know what I was going to do. And, through God's leading, I found an online film school called Tomorrow's Filmmakers, and I attended that for about 2 years. And I learned so much. I met so many people, and that's what ultimately led to my connection to Capernaum Studios and ultimately Nathan Blair, which is kind of how I ended up here.
Cool. So tell us about your role.
So my role coming in was pretty much just a set PA, runner, doing all the little jobs. But like you mentioned, since our caterer got ill, I guess I've been caterer for the last 4 days. And it's not what I signed up to do, but I've enjoyed it, and having Kayla as my assistant has really helped a lot. Ironic, they stuck the two people with the same name just to confuse everyone even more. So.
Well, there's been no complaints about the food, so thank you. You've both done a really good job.
Oh, thank you.
And Michael, you are the art department, I guess.
Of sorts. I'm a part of the whole, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us, first of all, about your career and life that led you to where you are today.
Sure. So yeah, my name's Michael VanderMate, and I grew up with creative parents. So my mom was writing musicals and leading music camps and was a music theater teacher, and then also was a production director. And my dad was an architectural engineer, so I kind of grew up on both sides of the spectrum of thinking through a really creative brainstorming session and then trying to figure out how to actually build, a giant TV set that takes up the entire stage, so all kinds of crazy ideas. And so The longer story short is that I ended up going to college for architecture, technically environmental design, which is more focused on the psychology of how design impacts a person. And I loved that. Graduated from A&M with that degree, started working in architecture, and just felt like I was missing some of the story. I was missing the character of who I'm designing for and why am I making these decisions. Architecture was more of the space, the bones of the space, and not the filling of the space. I definitely have more of a passion for interior design now that I know, which is why when I transferred into film, I went and got my master's in production design for TV and film with an emphasis in set design and set decoration. And so set decoration is more like the interior design to the set design, which is more like architecture. So I love the filling of the space more than the building of the space. But when you're on a production, I love being able to sit and work both together. So,
Interrupting you for a second, I believe you said set design would be more of the construction.
Set design is more of the bones of the space. So you actually are shaping the volume that you're inhabiting and the structure of what you see. And then set decoration is the filling of the space. That is bringing in the furniture, choosing the light fixtures, the paint colors, the wall art. And so that's, it's like you're buying a new house and you see it completely empty as opposed to seeing it staged.
Right.
That's the difference that a set decorator does in a film. It's not just the space, it's now filled with the character of whoever that space is supposed to represent. That's what I enjoy doing. On this film, I've been working as a set dresser and props master. Most of what we've been shooting has been on location, so there's not a ton of set design needed.
Right.
I think the most set design that I've had to do on this production was we ended up having to pivot for one of our locations. We were wanting to do the market scene on an LED wall, and it just wasn't working the way that we wanted it to, and so we kind of had to adjust some and pivot to another location, and we dressed it differently with kind of a canopy structure. And so that would be the closest to set design on this production, I would say.
So just as we're talking about this set specifically, any differences from other sets that you've worked on as far as the type of set dressing?
Yeah.
Describe it a little bit.
Sure. This is a unique production because it's set in first century. And so, anytime you work on any period piece, it's a different kind of process, especially as you're trying to source different props that you might need or set decoration items. It's not something that you can just go on Etsy or Amazon Prime, a first century replica of fishing weights. It's not something that you can do. So it requires a different kind of forethought, and it also requires more research. The further back in time you go, sometimes the fuzzier the details get. But, with how much is available online now, it's a lot easier than what I've heard some of my professors talking about, in the 80s or whenever they were doing some work and having to do a period piece and you could only find whatever book was in the library. It's a lot easier to do a period piece nowadays.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know that our listeners, when they get a chance to watch Empty Nets, they'll be able to picture the stuff we're talking about. And, for all of you, I've really enjoyed being here with you and working with you over the last couple of weeks, and hope we get to connect sometime again soon.
Yeah, likewise. I think the hardest part about, concluding a shoot is, you get so bonded with the people that you've spent all this time with for like 2, 3, 4 weeks, and it's like you leave and like, when are we going to see each other? Well, at the premiere. Well, are we going to work together again? Only God knows.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's been great to meet and work with you as well, Geoff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast. If you would like email reminders about newly released episodes and more, please sign up at faffpodcast.com/email. That's faffpodcast.com/email. Bringing filmmakers together for faith and family.
That's a wrap.